Today we are going to be making our clay animals. You have already created a sketch for your exact animal and how you're going to cut it out, and you will have the choice, you've already made the choice of doing either a fish or a bird. So you're going to need 2 rulers as a guideline for thick and thinness. You're going to need a rolling pin for rolling out a clay slab. We do not have enough for everyone to have their own, so we will be sharing these. You will need a piece of clay. You will need a needle tool, fettling knife, along with a variety of other tools, and a little cup of water for your table. Now to start, we need to roll out a clay slab. Before we roll out a clay slab, which is kind of like a pancake, we need to plan what size it needs to be. So if I'm going to do my duck, you will see I need to roll out my clay slab so it is long enough. Looks like it needs to get a little bit wider, but definitely more long. So I'm definitely going to roll it more up and down. Now if you have an animal that is kind of more square, it looks like I need to go up and down along with out and get a little bit wider. So depending on what size you have and how long and how wide it is, you will need to roll out your clay slab. Now the rulers are there for a guideline so that it can't get too thin. You don't want to roll your slab too small or else it'll break. So these are there so it doesn't get too thin. You don't want to leave it really thick because it'll also break. So I'm going to start, again, this one I need to go up and down, so I'm just going to start with the rulers, not really close, but next to, and I'm going to start rolling out my clay slab. Occasionally it looks like, okay, I still need it a little bit longer. Kind of moving those rulers as I go. Gonna check again, and now it is long enough. So I am done rolling out my clay slab. I want to stop. I really can't go anymore either because those rulers are there blocking me from going any thinner. Again, if you have a sketch, a bird or a fish that is wider, you're going to need to roll in multiple directions. So you can't just go up and down. You have to kind of go up and down, diagonal, left and right, to try and get the correct size. I'm going to test it out. It looks like I need to get a little bit longer over here. Again, using those rulers as a guideline. Looks like I can't really go anymore, and it fits. Again, now I am ready to cut it out. So once your paper fits, you can get rid of the rulers, you're going to place it on there, and we are going to just very quickly draw guidelines for our animal using a needle tool. I'm going to hold this paper down, and it sticks pretty well. You don't want to press too hard, but I'm going to hold it down, and I'm going to very lightly and gently trace my animal so I know where to cut it out. Not pressing too hard, as I definitely don't want it to go through. Then I can take my animal paper off, and you can see where I need to cut it out. We're going to cut it out using a fettling knife. Now there's a top and a bottom. The way you know the top and the bottom has a quarter circle or kind of a curve in it, and that is the bottom. So this is where you really want to be cutting with, up here on the bottom. And I'm going to very slowly and carefully cut on my line, and I would do it in chunks. So I would take that chunk off and save that. We're going to need that. Save it. Chunks, I'm going to save that. I may use it for something else. Again, you want to go slowly so that you don't miss the lines. I missed a little bit of the line, which is okay. You want to go slowly so you don't miss it. pull it off. Keep that. Again, you may use that later. Then I'm just going to make sure this is exactly how I want it. Now if you can see some of those lines or it looks a little messy, you can go with your hand and fix those lines. Make them really nice and smooth lines. The next step is to add texture. As you can see, my owl has lots of textures everywhere, as well as my fish. Now there are many ways you could add textures. You could add textures just by doing some textures, some drawings with your needle tool or some other tools. However, we also have some templates, some texture templates. So there's a variety of them at your table, and you're going to choose where you want different textures. I might do a texture for my head, and then I might do a different texture for my body. So I'm going to do this kind of polka dot texture on the bottom. Now maybe you want to do little sections. So I have a different texture this fin, different texture this fin, different texture this fin, kind of different textures all over. So how you're going to do that is you're going to place it where you want it. So I definitely don't want it on my head, so I don't want to put the texture plate on my head. But then maybe I only want it down at the bottom. Maybe I want it only here and off. So I'm going to roll only here off. So I'm rolling just at the end. And I don't want to press too hard to smush my clay piece. We don't want to make it any thinner. Then I'm going to take off carefully, and you can see I have some dots for texture. Then maybe I want even another texture. I want to do a different texture on the head. So I'm going to put that on top of my head. I'm going to take my rolling pin and I'm going to very gently roll it. The weight of the roller is almost enough. You don't really need to press anymore. Then I can carefully, slowly pick it up, and you can see I have a nice texture. You'll do about 2 to 3 textures in your clay animal. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the details. So you can see in my fish I added an eye, I added kind of a fun line, I also added a little fin. So depending on what you're adding, we've all drawn them out. I'm adding an eye, I'm adding kind of a line, and then I'm adding a fin. Now for my eye, for these you're going to use these extra pieces you had on your clay slab. So for my eye I'm just going to draw, I think I can draw a circle. So I'm going to draw on the edge of my clay, I'm just going to draw a little circle. Yep, that looks pretty good. Then I'm going to cut it out. I'm actually just going to use my needle tool, but I'm going to go all the way so I'm touching the table. And then I'm going to get it out. So now I have it. I can kind of shape it a little bit exactly how I want it. I'm not going to attach it yet, but I'll place it exactly where I want it. Now if you have something like this, this is a little more challenging. I don't think I can draw that in here. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut it out. We're done with the shape, so I don't need that anymore. I'm actually going to cut this out. Like this, so I know exactly how I want it. Put it on that clay slab, the extra clay slab we have. I'm going to maybe put it along the edge so we can use as much space as we have. And I'm going to carefully and gently draw the outline with my needle tool. And I'm going to take my fettling knife and I'm going to cut it out. Again, cutting it out in sections, taking it off, and then I can kind of smooth it over. Now I'm going to put it there. Oh, that looks nice. I'm not attaching it yet. I'm just laying it flat so I know where I want it. Then I want a little line right here. So you can see I have a line. I'm not going to cut that one out. I'm actually going to take a piece that I have, so this looks about right, and I'm going to roll it into a coil, kind of like a worm. So that looks about right. I'm going to pinch it off. There we go. I have my 3 things that I'm attaching. You need to attach at least 3 things. Now maybe you want some texture here. So before you attach it, you're going to keep it separate. You're going to grab a texture plate. You're going to lay it on there. And you're going to gently push down on your rolling pin, creating texture. And pull it off. If it gets stuck, pull it off yourself, and now you have some texture there. I think I'm going to add a little detail here. I'm going to take the end of a paint stick and put in a little dot there. But now we need to attach it. You can't just sit it there, it will not stay. So what I'm going to do, you're going to need to scratch it to attach it. So you're going to use your needle tool for this. And you are actually going to take it and you're going to do a kind of a small game of tic-tac-toe. Lots of scratches on the back, and then lots of scratches, not really deep, just kind of on the top where you want it. Then I'm going to take some water. You're going to have a little water bucket, and you're going to put it right there and on the clay, and I'm going to set it down, and you do want to push pretty hard. Now to secure it even more, you're going to take a green tool, the end, kind of a small piece, and you're just going to kind of take it along the edge, really make sure it's attached. So press down. You can even use your finger, pressing down, making sure that it's attached. Then again, I'm going to pick this up, and the bottom I'm going to scratch it. Scratch it to attach it. We're going to use slip, we're going to use water, we're going to slip it. Press down pretty hard. And again, you're going to take the end of your green tool. You're going to go along that edge, pressing down so it's nice and secure. And my last one, you can do some kind of big scratches here. See, I want it about here. Yep, that looks about right. Water, I'm going to slip, and then I'm going to lay it down, pressing hard. Now you don't want to press in the middle because you might take some of that texture out. You're going to press a little bit gently, and then you're going to take that green tool and kind of trace along that edge. And now I am done with my clay animal. Smooth it all out. Maybe if I want to go in and add a few more things, I could add some cool details here. I could draw some cool, I could do some more dots here. This doesn't have to be a realistic animal, so you can just kind of have some fun. Adding some beak lines. Now before you are totally done, you are going to carefully flip it over, and I want you to write your name. But you don't want to go really deep. Because you don't want to go through. And you are done with the clay portion of your animal.